General of the National Organization for Trade Unions in Uganda. Now, you will be wondering why National Organization for Trade Unions in Uganda? Well, trade unions stand as he will tell us later on, or to begin with, trade unions stand for the rights and basically push the agenda of workers. And since women are also in the employment sector and under different unions that benefit them, then why not have a conversation with someone like that to see how best have women been protected and empowered under trade unions. But before we go ahead, let me first speak to Mr. Mauku Richard. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning, Monica. I am happy to be here once again to speak about national issues concerning the workers and women in particular.
Yes. Well, to begin with, earlier, before we went on air, there was a conversation we were having about trade unions and their main function. And you did mention something. We normally say trade unions are there to fight for the rights of workers. But you said it's not really fight. The word fight is problematic. So before we get into our conversation today, what is the main function of trade unions?
Well, I would give the explanation in this form.
Okay.
The correct way under the International Labour Organization, trade unions stand for the function of advancing, advocating, promoting, protecting, and defending the social and economic interests of workers at workplaces through a process called collective bargaining. And that is done in accordance to the legal framework of the country.
Okay.
In so doing, one would say that they fight, because actually sometimes we do fight.
For the rights?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, I like that you have put that out there. Now, this year's theme for the International Women's Day celebrations that will be taking place tomorrow in Katakwi district at Boma Grounds, where we will be coming to you, broadcasting live from there to show you what will be taking place. Opinion leaders and policy makers will be having a conversation with us regarding the rights of women, advancement of women in the corporate sector, in the job market, in entrepreneurship, because this year's theme is accelerating gender equality through women economic empowerment. And it's for this reason that we would like to have a conversation regarding women in the labor fraternity in Uganda, and that's why we have the gentleman from the National Organization of Trade Unions to speak about the same. Now, like he said, he gave us their mandate and their function as not to, and of course now this is where we delve in. Let's look at rationalization and salary emollients, that the bill that was presented and how this favors women.
Well, I would first begin by saying I'm sorry to appear here without our woman leader from NOTU, but the fact is that they are in preparations and they are setting off to go to Katakwi,
yes,
as I speak now, so they couldn't make time to come along with me because they are starting their journey now, because they have a program, a radio program in Soroti this afternoon.
Yes.
So they have preferred to go a little bit early.
That's
otherwise, I would be here with Kim Atwoki, who is our chairperson, Women Committee.
That's understandable, and also it's
I
been
have
said
to explain.
that. No, I hear you, and it's been said that for us to actually have a balanced conversation regarding women empowerment, men also have to be part of the conversation. So you're well representing.
Where you find a woman, it's important that the man must be closer. If you find women alone, many things will not be happy. I mean, many of them won't be happy without men.
That's
so
true.
it is important that we relate, because we are meant to relate naturally.
Yeah.
Now, on the issue of rationalization of government agencies, it is a welcome idea. It will affect both men and women. I am certain that some jobs are going to be lost during the process of rationalization. Our take on the issue is there was a reason why government in the first instant separated these entities from the main ministries to making them either authorities or otherwise. And if government in its wisdom feels that they have to reverse, it is important to explain best the very reasons they are advancing to reverse their own decision. If it is something to do with cost, are we sure and certain that we are going to save costs when we go back to the other ministries or the main ministries? We have known of the obvious problems with the public service operations. There is a lot of corruption, that one everybody knows. To me, I would have imagined that maybe where these agencies, the way these agencies have been progressing, is been a little bit better in terms of corruption as compared to what we see in the public service. Unless the government is going to put in place very stringent measures to curb down on corruption, we may find very little saving even when these agencies go back to the ministries. And there is that bureaucracy that people fear. And even His Excellency has been complaining about the bureaucracy in public service. So before we address, or before the government addresses the underlying problems in public service, taking back these institutions might not offer a very good solution. And if the solution is intended to achieve probably 70% of the gain, it might actually achieve less than 50.
Less than
because 50. If the very problems that we all know and the president has repeatedly talked about in the public service are not addressed adequately, then it appears to be like trying to take an initiative that will save but little. So most of the things that government would focus on first is to correct the mistakes in public service.
Correct that.
So that we take back these agencies when we know we are going for the better performance, better output, other than rushing to take them back there, and then we begin grappling with the same mistakes and the same problems that we have been facing all through. I want to also state that when it comes to issues of women workers and trade unions,
yes,
trade unions are both women and men and young workers,
yes,
people with a disability. All sectors of the economy form trade unions. So we are all in one. Women employees are going to lose employment in the process, as I'm saying. What is most important and critical is if government insists on this process, then the workers must be involved in the process of negotiating the arrangements that are going to be made to ensure that these organizations merge and all go back into their mother ministries. The workers should be adequately consulted on these processes because we understand workers' issues better than everybody.
That's
because
true.
That is what we are there to do, and that is what we have trained for over the time. So it is necessary and important that they engage with us so that we guide the process together with them as tripartite or social partners, as the international labor standards so require, under the principle of social dialogue and industrial relations.
Now, as someone that understands workers' issues and, of course, this merging or rationalization of government entities, what are some of the conversations or some of the risk factors that workers are already mentioning, apart from losing of some of them losing jobs? Now, for those that may not lose their jobs, but now are merging with mother ministries, what are some of the risk factors they are maybe going to face going forward if this actually goes through?
the underlying factors under such circumstances, one would be that some of the positions are going to be phased out. And if you hold a position that is going to be phased out, then automatically a loss of employment.
Yes.
Two, some positions that are going to remain may be the same, but the numbers are bigger than what they require. So one is some people shall be demoted. Some people shall be asked to reapply. So those dynamics require different approaches, different rewards in the Employment Act. And if there is nobody monitoring or looking at what the Employment Act or what the labor laws provide, then government might decide otherwise. To ask somebody who is still continuing in employment under Section 84 of the Employment Act to ask him or her to reapply when he has not ceased employment. But just because the positions have collided and they can't have two secretaries maybe for an officer. If I have been a secretary for some officer in the agency and there is already another secretary for a similar position in the ministry, maybe they have to change my position. And the circumstances under which these positions change must be negotiable in nature. Otherwise, people are going to be, terms are going to be dictated, which is not correct. And to the disadvantage of some of the people that are going to be affected. That is why I will still insist that involvement of the trade union leaders to negotiate and or harmoniously reach positions is paramount in this process.
You see, government is saying that the rationalization is aimed at reducing the public spend, okay? And because of this, don't you think it may be hard for them to actually listen to the whole conversation of let's sit down and agree and negotiate on, let's say, the demotions, the people that may have to be taken out of the job market? Don't you think that government is in a hard, is between a rock and a hard place as of this minute?
The principles of ILO, I talked about social dialogue.
Yes.
It requires that government, workers, and employers meet to sort out issues that concern themselves. This process has not started this year. It did not even start last year. It has been around for some time. This very number of years the process has taken, it would have been used for us to start engagement. I'm also certain that some of the agencies, like Uganda Wildlife Authority, we operate with a collective bargaining agreement. And I'm certain that this collective bargaining agreement has been sought by the Ministry of Public Service to see the terms and conditions under which those employees offer their labor. Many of these agencies do not have labor unions or trade unions that negotiate for their employees. And in the absence, it becomes necessary that we engage with the government on how best to implement this program.
Wow. So I guess the conversation is still starting. First of all, it hasn't yet been allowed because this proposal is meeting this proposal is meeting a lot of pushback from different people, the trade unions, some members of parliament, and even the employees themselves. So we will yet see how this is going to go further. But as we close, Mr. Mauku, what word of encouragement would you give to the employees out there that are afraid that in the event that this rationalization takes place, their careers may have come to a halt?
One piece of advice I would wish to give to our workers in the agencies is for them to insist that this process must be subjected to adequate consultations, including the National Organization of Trade Unions that represent them. Because that is the only way. You will not go into negotiations as one employee. You need this organization that represents you, that is registered for that purpose.
So they should
Otherwise,
put
they
their
should
weight
stay calm.
behind.
Exactly. Because we shall continue to speak for every person employed in Uganda. Whether you subscribe or not, it is our duty and mandate to speak and represent the people that are employed in this country.
Well, on that you're right. And if they say one by one makes a bundle, but if you come together, two heads are better than one, right?
Exactly.
And as employees, this is the moment when you go back to your trade unions and together have a collective voice in, rallying against should they be rallying against the rationalization, or just have a conversation that favors everyone?
Exactly that.
Okay.
We are not against rationalization. If government chooses that they want to go rationalization, the only thing is to do things adequately. One of the things that I pointed out from the beginning is to make sure that they reduce on the complaints that are known, where we are taking the agencies. But if we are getting these agencies, which have been even performing a little bit better, to take them into ministries which are going to get worse, then it doesn't make business sense.
And also some agencies have already been grappling with internal issues that have not yet been
resolved.
And then you take them to mother ministries.
Yes.
You're going to
and you are going to reduce employees, and you are going to do a number of things in the line of rationalization that may not improve performance of this very ministry or the agents. But if the government addressed adequately the issues of corruption, the issues of bureaucracy by the ministries, then it wouldn't be a problem if we are trying to look at how to reduce cost. But we might intend to reduce cost, but actually increase the cost in some cases, where things are not going to move. If you want to an approval to construct a road, it takes 2 years. When it has been taking less time, you are not reducing cost under the circumstances. Because we are having the same people. They have not changed the ministers, they have not changed the technical staff, they remain the same people who have been doing the same mistakes. So the emphasis would be, first of all, to focus on the public service.
All right, the focus will be to focus on public service and, of course, correcting some of the issues that have already been raised way before the rationalization takes place. Well, I've been having this conversation with Mr. Mauku Richard Moses, the Treasurer General of the National Organization for Trade Unions, and the conversation has been surrounding the impending rationalization of government entities to take them back to their mother ministries. But how is this panning out for the employees of these organizations? Well, good morning, Uganda Extra ends right now. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. We will catch you again tomorrow.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.